Welcome back to A Veil of Crime. Tonight's journey is something a little different and very special. This episode comes to you by suggestion from a best friend of the channel who lives all the way across the pond in the UK, who's also a cherished member of the Veil of Crime family. We hope that we do this justice, John. Thank you for the suggestion. We're leaving behind our usual focus on courtrooms and cold cases and stepping into a place steeped in shadow, a quiet council estate house in West Yorkshire that has earned the title of Britain's Most Haunted. This is the story of 30 East Drive in Pontefract, home of the infamous Black Monk, a tale woven from eyewitness accounts, unexplained phenomena, and layers of folklore. Tonight, we'll explore what's fact, what's fiction, and what remains unexplainable. Pontefract, a historic market town in West Yorkshire, it's known for its medieval castle, the execution of King Richard II's captors, and its famous licorice. But on the Chequerfield estate, a modest semi-detached house has become something else entirely, a focal point for Britain's most notorious poltergeist case. In the mid-1960s, the home was occupied by Joe and Jean Pritchard, their 15-year-old son Philip, and 12-year-old daughter Diane. For a while, they lived an ordinary life, but in August 1966, that changed forever. While Joe and Jean were away, Philip and his grandmother experienced something strange. Pools of water were forming on the kitchen floor with no source. Calls to the water board yielded no explanation. Then came the knocks, loud, deliberate, from within the walls. Over the days that followed, activity escalated. Cupboards banged open, lights flickered, and green foam oozed from taps. Household sugar would mysteriously scatter across the counters. It wasn't long before the Pritchards felt that they weren't alone. The disturbances intensified. Heavy furniture moved on its own. Photographs were defaced. A plant pot levitated and dumped its soil onto the floor. The family nicknamed the unseen force Fred in an attempt to downplay the fear. But Fred seemed to focus on Diane. She was allegedly dragged upstairs by her hair, thrown from her bed, and once found with red marks on her throat as though strangled. Witnesses, including neighbors, claimed to see her pulled by the invisible hands. Priests were called to bless the house, but the activity reportedly worsened afterwards, almost as if the entity had been provoked. Over time, a local legend became tied to the events. Some claim the figure haunting the home was a medieval monk executed nearby for heinous crimes against children, his body buried in unconsecrated ground. The idea of a black monk fit with several sightings of a tall, hooded figure within the house. However, and this is important for historical accuracy, no archival record conclusively links such a monk to the property. The story survives more in folklore than in documented fact. By the early 1970s, journalists and paranormal researchers were documenting the event. The disturbances reportedly continued sporadically until the mid-1970s before quieting down, though visitors in later decades still reported strange occurrences. In the years since, 30 East Drive has been featured in books, TV documentaries, and a 2012 film, When the Lights Went Out. It now serves as a paranormal investigation site where groups book overnight stays hoping for their own encounter with Fred. Historically, the facts are the following. The Pritchards reported unusual activity starting in 1966. Multiple visitors claimed to witness inexplicable events. The Black Monk narrative grew around the haunting without definitive historical proof. There's no police file for a criminal act and no physical evidence that meets scientific standards, only decades of testimonies and the legend that refuses to fade. So, is 30 East Drive truly haunted by the Black Monk of Pontefract, or is it the most elaborate ghost story in British history? That's for you to decide. Thank you again to our friend who suggested this journey. Your support keeps the veil lifted and the stories flowing. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. And remember, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed.